Florida, the Sunshine State, the land of endless beaches, year-round warmth, and a $15,000 annual home insurance premiums. The Sunshine State has officially become the empty wallet state. In Miami, $1,500 a month gets you a studio apartment the size of a walk-in closet if you're lucky. In Tampa, that same budget means choosing between rent and eating. And don't even get me started on Naples, where your landlord probably owns a yacht named Passive Income. But here's the twist. What if I told you there are hidden coastlands across America where that same $1,500 doesn't just survive, it thrives? Places with the same salt air, the same ocean views, but none of the billionaire tax. Shh, don't let the snowbirds know. We're counting down 10 coastal towns where your budget lives like royalty. Great to white, isn't everyone here already? Let's break it down. Number 10. Gulf Shores, Alabama. Here's your anti-Florida hook. Same sugar white sand as Destin, same turquoise Gulf waters, same pelicans judging your beach body. But here's what's different: you can actually afford to live here without selling a kidney or marrying into oil money. Florida's Emerald Coast has been colonized by condos, timeshares, and families who think $8 beach parking is reasonable. Meanwhile, Fort Morgan sits 20 miles west of the main Gulf Shores chaos. A quiet peninsula where the sand is just as white, the water just as warm, and the tourists just as upset. It's the redneck Riviera upgrade you didn't know you needed. Let's do the $1,500 budget breakdown. Rent for a two-bedroom near the beach, around $950 a month. That leaves $550 for everything else. Groceries run cheap here. We're talking Southern grocery store prices, not Whole Foods. A fresh Gulf seafood dinner at a local spot? $1.18. They're giving you portions that require a to-go box. Entertainment? The beach is free. The sunsets are free. Watching dolphins from your porch? Also free. Your biggest monthly expense might be sunscreen and gas for the ferry. The vibe here is slow, salty, and unapologetically Southern. Moss doesn't drape the oaks like Georgia, but the sea oats wave in the breeze. The dunes stretch endlessly, and the pace of life is set to island time without the island prices. Fort Morgan feels like old Florida before the developers showed up with their smoothie bars and $40 parking garages. But here's the catch: why is it hidden? Fort Morgan is remote, like one road in, one road out remote. The nearest Target is 45 minutes away. The nightlife is non-existent unless you count a bait shop that sells beer. And yes, hurricanes still happen. Alabama's coast isn't immune to Mother Nature's mood swings, but at least your insurance won't require a second mortgage. As one Reddit transplant put it perfectly, I moved here from Tampa. My blood pressure went down, my bank account went up, and my commute is now a golf cart ride to the pier. I'm never going back. Now for the reality check. Mosquitoes here are aggressive and take no prisoners. The summers are brutally hot and humid. This is still the Gulf Coast, after all. And if you need a major airport, Mobile is an hour away, and the flight options are limited. Also, let's be honest, Gulf Shores, Alabama doesn't exactly impress at cocktail parties. But who cares? You're saving $800 a month. So, here's the question. Would you trade the Florida crowds for Alabama's quiet sand? Or does redneck Riviera make you nervous? Hit yes or no in the comments. I promise I won't judge much. And if Gulf Shores is the budget beach upgrade, the next town had something Florida forgot existed: actual culture. Number 9. Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Here's your anti-Florida. Imagine if Key West was affordable, walkable, and didn't smell like sunscreen and regret. That's Bay St. Louis. It's got the quirky art scene, the historic downtown, the water views, but without the $3,000 rent and drunk bachelorette parties every weekend. This is Mississippi's secret coast, and honestly, it's annoyed me for years that more people don't know about it. The ST. Louis sits on the 50 minutes from New Orleans, and feels like the artsy beach town Florida used to have before the chains moved. Galleries line the streets, local restaurants serve for the price of a fast food combo. And the vibe. It's like someone took the soul of the French Quarter and gave it a beach house. Let's run the $1,500 budget math. Average rent for a one-bedroom in Bay St. Louis. Around $850. Some cottages near the water go for $900, $1,000, but we're talking actual houses, not showbox apartments. That means $500 local joint. $12. A night out with live music and drinks. Maybe $30. Groceries are southern cheap. And the beach. Free. Always free. Your lifestyle here isn't just comfortable, it's genuinely enjoyable. The vibe is intoxicating. Century-old oaks arch over the streets. Colorful shotgun cottages line the blocks. Downtown is walkable. People are friendly in that deep south way, where strangers wait for porches. Creative energy feels real. Non-manufactured, Bay St. Louis has survived Katrina and came back stronger, weirder, and more resilient. So why is it hidden? Mississippi. That's the cap. People hear Mississippi and picture something else entirely. They don't picture a walkable arts district. 50 minutes from world-class food in New Orleans. They don't picture affordable waterfront living. The state's reputation does the heavy lifting of keeping this place a secret. One Redditor summed it up beautifully. Left St. Pete for Bay St. Louis 3 years ago. I own a house now. A whole house with a yard. I can walk to galleries. Eat fresh oysters twice a week. And still save money. Florida could never. Reality check time. The Gulf water here isn't the crystal clear turquoise of the Florida Keys. It's murkier, more marsh influenced. Hurricane risk is very real. Katrina leveled this town in 2005. Job opportunities are limited unless you are remote or willing to commute to New Orleans or Gulfport. And let's be honest, Mississippi's politics and infrastructure aren't for everyone. Would you trade Florida's clear water for Mississippi's secret charm? Or does Gulf Coast Mississippi sound like a compromise you're not ready to make? Let me know below. And if Bay St. Louis is the artsy secret, the next town is old money elegance and new money prices. Number 8. Brunswick, Georgia. Here's your anti-Florida hook. You know how Florida's wealthy coastal towns Palm Beach, Naples, Boca feel like they're actively trying to make you feel poor? Brunswick is the opposite. It's got the same moss-draped oaks, the same marsh beauty, the same proximity to gorgeous barrier islands, but it doesn't require a trust fund to participate. The Golden Isles St. Simons, Jekyll Island, Sea Island are Georgia's answer to the Florida Keys, minus the traffic and the attitude. And while Sea Island is billionaire territory, Brunswick itself is the working-class gateway where real people actually live. You get the access without the price tag, the marsh views without the membership fees. Budget breakdown time. Average rent in Brunswick proper, around $1,000 for a 2-bedroom. Yes, really. That leaves $500 monthly for everything else. A plate of Georgia shrimp and grits at a local spot, $15. A day trip to Jekyll Island with beach access, $8 per car. Kayaking through the marshes. Bring your own kayak, it's free. In Florida, this lifestyle costs triple. In Brunswick, it's just life. The vibe is low country magic. Spanish moss strips from live oaks like nature's chandelier. The marshes glow golden at sunset. Brunswick's downtown is historic, walkable, and filled with the kind of locally owned restaurants that Florida replaced with cheesecake factories. It feels old, in the best way, like the South before it got commercialized. Why is it hidden? Brunswick has baggage. Industrial plants dot the outskirts. The town has economic struggles that are visible if you look. It's not polished like St. Simons, and it doesn't pretend to be. Some blocks are rough. The national perception of Brunswick took a hit after a high-profile crime case a few years back. But the reality on the ground is a community that's affordable, resilient, and surprisingly charming. A Reddit local said it best: everyone drives through Brunswick to get to the islands. They don't realize we're the ones who can actually afford to live near them. My rent is $950. My view is the marsh. I eat shrimp 3 times a week. Y'all keep driving. Reality check. Brunswick isn't beachfront the islands are. You'll need a car to access St. Simons or Jekyll. The summer heat and humidity rival Florida's worst. Mosquitoes treat the marshes like a breeding convention. And the job market is limited. Healthcare, shipping, and service industry dominate. If you're not remote, options are thin. Here's your question. Would you trade Florida's polished coast for Georgia's marshland mystery? Or does industrial outskirts kill the dream? Vote in the comments. Brunswick gives you the Golden Isles lifestyle at a bronze price. But if you want the artsy beach town vibe turned up to 11, the next spot is basically Austin with an ocean. Number 7. Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Picture if St. Augustine had better art, cheaper rent, and didn't charge you $25 to park near your own history.
You're sure
Ocean
you'll want
Springs
to
is the
visit
creative
Ocean
coastal
Springs on your
town that
next Gulf
Florida
Coast
stopped
adventure,
being when
so
the
come join
developers
us.
moved in. If BST, Lewis is Mississippi's secret, Ocean Springs is the secret everyone who lives there swore to protect. It's been called the Austin of the coast, and honestly, that's not hype. Live oak canopies shade every street. Galleries outnumber chain stores. Live music happens weekly in Venice that don't require a covered charge. And somehow rent is still affordable. Let's break down the $1,500 royalty budget. Average rent in Ocean Springs runs about $900 for a one-bedroom in a good location. The vibe is unlike anything in Florida. Ocean Springs feels curated but not pretentious. Artists actually live and work here. This isn't a gallery district for tourists, it's a community. The Walter Anderson Museum celebrates one of America's most underrated artists. The downtown is walkable, shaded, and aggressively charming. Spanish moss hangs everywhere. The sunsets turn the water pink. It's the kind of place Instagram influencers haven't ruined yet. The catch, it's Mississippi. Again, the state's reputation does all the gatekeeping. One Reddit transplant wrote, "Moved here from Sarasota. Same Gulf, half the rent, 10 times the soul. I walk to galleries, my neighbors are actual artists, and I haven't sat in traffic in years. Florida friends think I'm crazy. My savings account says otherwise." Reality check. The beach isn't right in town. Gulf Island's National Seashore is a short drive. And while it's stunning, it's not walkable from downtown. Hurricane risk is real. The Gulf Coast doesn't play. Jobs are limited. Biloxi's casinos are nearby if you're desperate. But remote work is your best bet. And Mississippi's infrastructure, healthcare, and politics require honest consideration before you commit. Would you trade Florida's beach access for Mississippi's art town charm? Or does 20-minute drive to the sand feel like a deal breaker? Ocean Springs proves the Gulf Coast has more to offer than Florida wants you to know. But if you're willing to trade charm for pure affordability, the next town offers waterfront property for the price of a used car. Number 6. Port Lavaca, Texas. Waterfront property means a $2 million condo with an HOA that monitors your curtain colors. In Port Lavaca, waterfront means a house on the bay for $180,000. And the only thing monitoring you is a pelican who judges your fishing technique. Let's be honest up front, Port Lavaca is not pretty in the traditional sense. This is a working-class Texas coast town. Industrial, gritty. The kind of place where shrimp boats outnumber yachts and nobody's heard of a rooftop bar. But here's what it has that Florida doesn't: actual affordability on actual water. If you've ever dreamed of owning a home where you can fish from your backyard, this is where that dream doesn't require a lottery win. Budget breakdown for the $1,500 royalty treatment. Average rent in Port Lavaca hovers around $750–$850 for a 2-bedroom. The vibe is authentically coastal Texas. This isn't Galveston's tourist boardwalk or South Padre's spring break chaos. Port Lavaca is working boats, weathered piers, and locals who fish these waters for generations. It's quiet in the way that feels earned, not marketed. The bay stretches wide, the birds are everywhere, and the pace is slow. The catch is obvious: industry. Port Lavaca sits near chemical plants and industrial facilities. The air quality isn't pristine. The town itself won't win any beauty contest. It's practical, not pretty. If you need cute coffee shops and boutique hotels, this isn't your place. Port Lavaca is for people who prioritize function over aesthetics and water, access over Instagram potential. A Reddit poster said it straight: bought a house on the bay for $165,000. I fish every morning. My neighbor brings me crabs. Do I smell the plants sometimes? Yeah. Do I care when my mortgage is $800? Absolutely not. Reality check. This is remote Texas. The nearest major city is Victoria, 30 minutes away, and it's not exactly a metropolis. Houston is 2 hours. The summer heat is oppressive. Texas Gulf Coast humidity is no joke. Hurricane risk is significant. Port Lavaca has been hit before and will be hit again. And let's be real, the dating scene for young singles is essentially non-existent. Here's your question: would you trade Florida's polish for Texas's honest grit? Or does industrial backdrop disqualify a town from your list? Port Lavaca proves that waterfront living doesn't have to cost a fortune if you're willing to accept some trade-offs. But if you want to store a charm with coastal access, the next town literally starred in a Nicholas Sparks movie. Number 5. New Bern, North Carolina. And I Florida hook. You know those charming coastal Florida towns that got ruined by condos and chain restaurants? New Bern is what they used to be before the money showed up and the soul left. It's historic. It's waterfront, and it doesn't require you to refinance your existence. New Bern is where the Neuse and Trent rivers meet, about 45 minutes from the actual ocean beaches of the Crystal Coast. It's also where The Notebook was filmed, which tells you everything about the aesthetic. White columned homes line tree-canopied streets. The downtown is walkable, historic, and filled with locally owned everything. And unlike the Outer Banks, which have become a vacation home playground for the wealthy, New Bern remains a place where regular people actually live. Budget math for the $1,500 lifestyle. Rent in New Bern averages around $1,000 for a nice one-bedroom. $1,100 for a two-bedroom in a good neighborhood. That leaves $300, $500 for everything else tight, but doable. A barbecue plate at a local spot, $11. Fresh seafood dinner, $20. Kayak in the rivers. Free if you own a kayak, cheap to rent. Farmer's market run, $20 and you're set. The beach is a 45-minute drive, which sounds far until you realize it's a free beach without the parking nightmares of Florida. The vibe is southern coastal charm dialed to perfection. Antebellum architecture stands alongside craft breweries. The downtown is alive, but not chaotic. Festivals happen regularly, but you can still find parking. History nerds will love that New Bern was North Carolina's colonial capital. Everyone else will love the riverfront sunsets, the Oak Line streets, and the complete absence of velvet ropes and pretension. The catch, you're not on the ocean. New Bern is river, an estuary beautiful, but if you need waves crashing daily, you'll be commuting to Atlantic Beach or Emerald Isle. The job market is limited, healthcare and military Cherry Point is nearby dominate. But remote work is viable, and while New Bern is affordable compared to the Outer Banks, it's not as cheap as Mississippi or Texas. From Reddit, moved here from Jacksonville, Florida. Same humidity, same bugs, but I can actually afford a historic home with a porch. My neighbors sit outside and wave. It's like going back in time, but with good Wi-Fi. Reality check time. Summers are hot and humid, no escaping that on the Carolina coast. Hurricanes are a real threat. New Bern flooded badly during Florence in 2018. The town is older demographically, so nightlife is limited. And if you need a major airport, Raleigh is 2 hours away. Would you trade Florida's beach access for North Carolina's river charm? Or does 45 minutes to the ocean feel like a compromise too far? New Bern proves you don't need to be on the sand to live the coastal life. But if you actively hate heat and want dramatic coastline, the next town might actually make you wear a sweater. Number for Doc Coos Bay, Oregon.
Out of the parking lot, you're on Pacific Coast Highway. It was nice and quiet that night.
Florida's coast is flat, hot, and crowded. Oregon's coast is rugged, cool, and somehow still affordable. Coos Bay sits on Oregon's southern coast, surrounded by sea cliffs, evergreen forests, and beaches that look like they belong in a moody film about self-discovery. It's the largest coastal town between San Francisco and Portland, which means it has actual services while still feeling remote.
Actually, that's not true. I think I stopped in Gold Beach. Something I did. I don't even remember. I think
it's around $900, $1,000 for
and
one bedroom.
I had a bunch of energy still and everything, and I'm not gonna waste the day.
For $100, $600.
Stopped in Gold Beach and had like an early lunch. Anyway, it's around 6 o'clock, I would guess.
Either. A bowl of clam chowder at a local spot, $10.
And I hadn't had
Fresh
lunch or
crab.
Dinner yet.
Seasonal,
I don't think I've had lunch at all.
Beach access.
This is before
Always
the night.
Free.
We had just
Always
got done
dramatic.
riding our
Always
e-bike,
requiring
the
a
Electric
jacket.
XP
The vibe is
3.0.
Pacific Northwest coastal in the best way. Sea stacks jut from misty waters. Tide pools teem with life. Forest of Sitka spruce grow right to the cliff edges. Coos Bay itself is a working town fishing, shipping, some timber which keeps it grounded and real. It's not a tourist trap. It's a community that happens to have jaw-dropping scenery. The catch is the weather. Let's not sugarcoat this. Oregon's coast is gray. A lot. Summer highs average in the mid-60s. Winter brings rain, fog, and the kind of dampness that seeps into your bones. If you move to Florida for sunshine, Coos Bay is your opposite. Also, the ocean here is cold. Like, I'm not swimming. I'm surviving cold. Wetsuits are standard. A Redditor confessed, left Tampa for Coos Bay. Haven't sweated through a shirt in 2 years. My heating bill is higher, but I no longer have hurricane anxiety attacks every August. And the beaches, empty, completely empty. It's like having the coast to yourself. Reality check. Coos Bay is isolated. Portland is 4 hours north. The nearest major airport is Eugene, 2 hours inland. Jobs are limited to healthcare, fishing, retail, so remote work is almost mandatory. The gray skies can trigger seasonal depression for sun lovers, and in the town itself, while functional,
I went to a place called Shark Bites Cafe.
It's working class Oregon, not Carmel by the sea. Here's your question. Would you trade Florida's heat for Oregon's dramatic chill?
And I was like, I wonder what it's like, what that place is like.
Sound like a punishment rather than a perk. Coos Bay is for people who hate humidity, love moodiness, and don't need their coast to be a postcard.
This time when I actually came back here and I had a room, I was like, no, I'm going to go have lunch or dinner.
Genuinely surprise you. Number 3, Erie, Pennsylvania. Imagine Caribbean blue water, white sand beaches, and zero crowds, but in Pennsylvania, and only for months a year. Erie's Prescott is the freshwater ocean Florida can offer, at a price point that makes Miami look like a scam. Wait, Pennsylvania? Yeah, I know. It sounds wrong. But Prescott State Park is a sandy peninsula jutting into Lake Erie, with beaches that genuinely look tropical in summer. The water turns turquoise. The sand is soft. Sunsets stretch forever over what might as well be an inland sea. And because it's Pennsylvania, almost nobody outside the region knows it exists. Budget royalty math. Erie is cheap. Like, shockingly cheap for a city with actual amenities. The vibe is split personality in an honest way. Summer Erie is magical beach days, boat rentals, sunsets that rival any coast. Prescott feels like a hidden tropical escape. But then there's winter Erie, which is an experience. Lake effect snow buries the city. Temperatures plunge. The beaches become windswept tundras. It's a tale of two seasons, and you have to love both. The catch: weather, obviously. Erie averages over 100 inches of snow annually. Winters are long, gray, and cold. The lake effect storms are relentless. From November to April, Prescott is beautiful in a brutal, icy way that only some people appreciate. If you're fleeing Florida for warmth, Erie is the wrong direction. One Reddit local put it perfectly: July Erie is the best-kept secret in America. Caribbean water, no Florida prices, no Florida crowds. January Erie is a test of character. You either embrace the snow or you leave. There's no in between. Reality check. Beyond weather, Erie has Rust Belt struggles. Job losses have hit the region. The economy is rebounding, but opportunities can be limited. The nearest major city is Cleveland or Pittsburgh, both 2 hours away. And culturally, Erie is working-class Midwest great people, but not a lot of hipster coffee shops or artisanal anything. Would you trade Florida's endless summer for Pennsylvania's dramatic seasons? Or does 100 inches of snow immediately disqualify a place from your radar? Erie proves that stunning coastline doesn't require an ocean or a fortune. But if you want Gulf Coast warmth without Florida prices, the next town is a fishing village that refused to sell its soul. Number 2, Rockport, Texas. Remember when Florida's coastal towns had actual fishing piers instead of high-rises? When locals outnumbered tourists? When you could buy seafood straight from the boat for pocket change? Rockport still has that. It's what Florida used to be before it became a real estate investment portfolio. Rockport is a legitimate Texas fishing village on the Gulf Coast, about 30 miles north of Corpus Christi. No skyline of condos, no Velvetro beach clubs, just piers, shrimp boats, and a community that rebuilt with grit after Hurricane Harvey in 2017. It's authentic coastal Texas, the kind of place where everyone knows the good fishing spots and shares them anyway. Budget breakdown for the $1,500 lifestyle. Rent in Rockport averages $900, $1,100 for a 1 or 2 bedroom, depending on location. That leaves for $100, $600 for the good stuff. Fresh shrimp from the docks, $5 to $7 a pound. A fried seafood basket at a local joint, $13. Kayak launch into the bay free. Beach access at nearby Port Aransas free. Your weekends here cost less than a single dinner in Miami. The vibe is salty, weathered, and real. Rockport doesn't pretend to be something it's not. The art scene is small, but genuine. This is a hummingbird migration hotspot, attracting birders and artists alike. The downtown is local galleries, not chain stores. The harbor is working boats, not mega yachts. It's the kind of place where your neighbor might drop off fresh-caught redfish just because. The catch is recent history. Hurricane Harvey devastated Rockport in 2017. The town is rebuilt impressively so, but hurricane risk is part of life here. If you move to the Texas Gulf Coast, you accept that possibility. From Reddit, moved from Tampa after Harvey prices dropped. Bought a cottage with a view for less than my Tampa condo. I fish every morning, eat shrimp twice a week, and my stress is gone. Should have done this years ago. Reality check. Summers are hot. Texas Gulf hot. Humidity is significant, but less than Florida's jungle-level moisture. The beach nearest Rockport is okay, but Port Aransas has the better sand if you're willing to drive 20 minutes. Job market is limited. Remote work or retirement income is almost required. And yes, hurricanes you will have to prepare, evacuate, and rebuild. That's the deal. Would you trade Florida's overdevelopment for Texas's fishing village authenticity? Or does hurricane recovery scare you away from the whole Gulf Coast? Rockport is proof that affordable, authentic coastal living still exists if you're willing to accept some weather risk. But if you want the absolute best value on America's hidden coast, the final town combines everything: diving, fishing, island access, and rent that makes Florida look like a joke. Number 1. Morehead City, North Carolina. Anti-Florida hook. Imagine the Florida Keys diving, fishing, island hopping, but without the Keys prices, the overseas highway traffic, or the aggressive sense that everyone around you has more money than you. Morehead City delivers the same coastal lifestyle at half the cost, and somehow nobody's caught on yet. Morehead City sits on North Carolina's Crystal Coast, directly across from the barrier islands of the Cape Lookout National Seashore. The water is clear. The diving is world-class: shipwrecks, sea turtles, the whole deal. The fishing is legendary, both inshore and offshore. And unlike the Outer Banks to the north, which have become vacation home territory, Morehead City remains a working waterfront town where real people live year-round. The $1,500 royalty breakdown. Rent in Morehead City averages $1,000, $1,100 for a 1 or 2 bedroom. Solid coastal living without the Crystal Coast tourist markup. That leaves $300, $500 monthly for the lifestyle. Fresh catch from the docks. Absurdly affordable. A seafood dinner at a local waterfront spot. $20, and they're not skimping on the shrimp. Ferry to Cape Lookout for a day of pristine beaches and wild horses. $20 round trip. Kayaking the marshes. Free if you own a kayak. The ocean is right there. The lifestyle is real. The vibe is salty perfection. Morehead City's waterfront is lined with fishing boats, not yachts. The downtown is charmed without pretension. The Crystal Coast Beach is Atlantic Beach, Emerald Isle, Cape Lookout are within easy reach, and not overrun like Florida's coasts. It's warm, it's coastal, it's affordable, and it still feels like a discovery rather than a destination. The catch: hurricanes, full stop. The Crystal Coast takes direct hits. Florence in 2018 was devastating. If you live here, you plan for storms, you evacuate when told, and you rebuild when necessary. That's the price of Atlantic coastline. Also, winter does exist here. It's mild compared to the north, but January isn't exactly beach season. A Redditor who made the leap said, "I left Clearwater for Morehead City 5 years ago. Same ocean access, same fishing, half the rent. I own a boat now. I never could have afforded one in Florida. My only regret is not leaving sooner." Reality check. Final question: would you trade Florida's name recognition for North Carolina's crystal waters? Or does hurricane risk keep you locked into paying Florida prices for the same weather? Morehead City is the ultimate hidden coastline value. Same ocean, same lifestyle, none of the financial devastation. You came here for alternatives to Florida, and now you've got 10 of them from the Redneck Riviera to the Crystal Coast, from Texas fishing villages to Oregon's dramatic cliffs, and even a Caribbean-looking lake in Pennsylvania. Florida will always have its appeal, but the empty wallet state isn't the only option anymore. These towns prove that ocean views don't require a billionaire tax. That $1,500 can live like royalty if you know where to look. That the hidden coast are still out there, waiting. So which one surprised you most? Which one are you actually considering? Drop your answers below, and whatever you douche, don't let the snowbirds know.